Hey, John, happy 4th of July.
It is the 4th of July. Good to see you, my man.
Good to see you. How was Canada Day? This was 150, wasn't it?
It was 150 glorious years of red and white. Well,
Uh,
actually, we've only been red and white since I think 67, but that's okay.
I had no idea that you guys were anything but red and white. Well, I guess when it's not fall, the leaves don't turn red, so they must be
That's
some other color. But
all kinds of different colors.
and
Yeah,
during the
yeah. We
playoffs, they just disappear altogether.
well, yeah, but except they're all playing for your teams.
Well, that's true. So anyway, we're here to talk about SharePoint Fest Seattle.
We are. That's coming up in a little while now, and we've got a pretty exciting session, I think. It's been well received where we've presented it before.
Yeah, so let's see. This one is called Everything You Wanted to Know About Power BI, but We're Afraid to Ask.
Exactly, and it really is that. We want to cover Power BI soup to nuts, right from the ground up, so that someone who is completely unfamiliar with it coming in should be able to leave having a significant clue.
All right. Well, so let's talk about what we're going to cover. Obviously, we've got to cover the service. And the service changes so rapidly. Every 2 weeks, it seems like they're pushing out new stuff. So we've got to cover that off. What is it? How do you interact with it? What do you do? So we've got that. What else are we
Yeah,
going to talk about?
well, and the service is what most people are going to interact with too. So that it's the baseline for everything. But if you're going to design, of course, for the service, you're going to need to be using Power BI Desktop. So we're gonna delve right into that and talk about how you can build models, which is something you do with the desktop you can't do with the service. Build some pretty fancy reports and generally become a master at Power BI design.
Yeah. So one of the things that we want to make sure that we cover off is, when would you use Power BI versus traditional Excel or SSRS, things like that. Help people understand what the sweet spot for this new tool set really is. So we're going to make sure that we cover that off because there's still a huge use for the old technologies. I call it old
Yep.
technologies. So Excel's only been around 30 years. So, I think we can call that old. But
Yeah, and,
also,
and when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and it's important to know what tool fits for what use case. And even Excel, so you can use Excel with Power BI too. We're going to touch on
ooh.
quite a bit of that. Yeah, absolutely. They're not mutually exclusive.
So one of the big things that everybody likes about Power BI is all the cool visuals. So we're going to make sure
Yeah.
we dive into some of that. We're not going to cover how you create your own or anything. We're not going to go that way. What we are going to do is make sure people understand how to find new visuals, how to leverage them, and what to do once you have them. And then one of the big pieces for me and how I use Power BI internally at Rackspace is, connecting to data and keeping it up to date, keeping it refreshed so that it's, very useful and powerful for people to actually just go in and check that cool dashboard. Dashboards are great, but if the data's stale, not so useful. So that's one of the big focuses for us is making sure that we show people how to do that piece too.
It's definitely a very big part of the picture, certainly from an admin standpoint. And yeah, you can have data that only gets updated once a year, and you can have data that is in real time. And we'll certainly cover all that stuff off. One of the ways you can go and get at data right out of the box and right in the service is using content packs. So we're going to give them their due during the session as well.
Well, and then the one that's near and dear to both of our hearts, because it's where we started, is the whole on-prem story. And there's still a very vibrant on-prem story for, how you connect up to your data, what you can do with on-prem, et cetera. So we're going to have a very detailed conversation about that throughout the course of the day as well, showing people, if you have data sources on-prem, how do you interact with them? And what can you do just staying on-prem as well? Because there's a whole new story about that also.
That's pretty exciting, and that's something I'm happy to bring to this talk because we couldn't do it earlier this year, but now we have a story where we can actually run Power BI on premises.
Yeah. And then, lastly, one of the big things that we want to be able to do is show the SharePoint integration story as well. And that story is much better now that they've actually released some of the web parts that we've started to see come into SharePoint Online. And then we'll talk about it for SharePoint On-Prem as well. But we want to make sure that finally we show people how to avoid making our mistakes because we've made a ton of mistakes along the way.
No, not you.
So What?
We've hit our heads on the wall enough times that we can tell people that they need to wear a helmet.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a good thing. Helmets are useful, because I have fallen asleep many a time and ended up with GHJKL on my forehead. So we want to avoid that for people if we can. But finally, our goal for the session, for those of you who are tuning in specifically for this reason, is we
Yeah,
want for you to be able to walk out with a full understanding of Power BI. And then when you get back to your office after SharePoint Fest, we want you to be able to immediately get started and see quick results. So our session also leads in very nicely to a session that's on Wednesday. Treb Gatt is doing his session called Dashboards in One Day. So if you're looking at it and trying to decide, is this something I should go to, or should I do an either or? The answer is do both, because
that's
Treb's
right.
stuff is really good. Cleo loves Treb's session, so make sure you go and check out Treb's session as well. So with that,
Yeah,
John,
we're gonna show you how it works, and Treb's gonna show you some basically how to put it to use.
there you go. Well, with that, we've done more than our 5 minutes worth, and I have to get back to my 4th of July barbecuing because I have meat to go smoke. And I hope that you have a great day of work, John.
I'm hoping the cat didn't remind you of that. Just
No,
saying.
no. You're terrible. All right, buddy. Well, I will see you in Seattle.
Take it easy, Jason.
Bye.